Hey there guys, it's Salas. And recently I hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the channel, watched the videos, liked them, shared them, and helped me get to where I am now. It's meant so much to me to actually get this far. And here's hoping for another few subscribers soon. So, as a way of celebrating, I present to you my top 12 games of 2012. Okay, just a quick disclaimer before we get on to this. This is going to be the most subjective thing you'll ever see in your life, because these are the games I have enjoyed, in my opinion. I know that's probably not going to stop you complaining about my choices, but I thought I'd have to get it out there early because, you know, I have opinions too. Number 12. Fez. Fez came out on the Xbox Live Arcade a while ago, and it was a very highly anticipated game. It had been in development for quite a long time. And for the most part, it is actually rather enjoyable. However, there are certain things that just let it down for me, hence the number 12 spot. The visual style is absolutely fantastic. I love the retro pixel look and the way the game feels. And I love the fact that you can just change the perspective to change the platform, making that impossible jump less impossible. The music is great in this game, however, it's let down by several things, really. Number one being, there's absolutely no direction to the game. If you stop playing and come back to it, say, a week later, you have no idea where you've gone or how you got there. It'd be nice if there was, like, a guaranteed flow to it. I mean, I know it's an exploration game, but for me, it's a case of I might dip into it, I might not. It's not the kind of thing I would sit down and play consistently all the way from start to finish in one sitting. And some of the puzzles in this game aren't really puzzles. I mean, there's one bit that involves you translating Morse code, and another one which is scanning this QR code, which is basically a game over if you don't have a device that can scan them. So, yep, that was Fez. Very enjoyable, if let down by a few things. Number 11. Blades of Time. You've probably seen a lot of this on my channel. It's actually one of my favourite series to record because it's given me so many times to rip on the NPCs. And considering this is supposed to be the sequel to X-Blades, which wasn't very well received when it launched, it's actually done really well for itself. The visual style is great, the voice acting is good, with some exceptions. I don't really like Zero's voice acting very much, but luckily he's not been in it very much so far. The only things that let this game down, really, is after the first act, the bugs start appearing. I don't know whether the developers just thought, oh, whatever, they'll only get past the first act and stop playing, but I have seen bug after bug after bug since I cleared the first act. And it's not really helping it any more than it is just getting in the way. Other problems I have with this game is the boss fights are surprisingly easy, whereas all the preamble you have to do to get to them is incredibly hard. Some of the puzzles are just really obtuse. And this is a major letdown for the game because it's supposed to be one of these like action RPGs. You run in, you slice up dudes, and then you leave. And that would have been great. But it's not. They stick puzzles in between that are so difficult or so tricky. I mean, the one bit with the Skyguard Commander boss, the Skyguard Commander was very easy. But trying to get all those generators into line while being attacked from above, it didn't help at all. The combat in the game is good. I'm not going to say it's great because it's really not. The swords seem very, very floaty, and I think that was mostly to increase the speed of combat and make it look more impressive to become more of a spectacle fighter, but I don't like floaty swords, and the rifle, which is your basic gun, which you get at the start, is, for the most part, pointless. Until you get the machine gun later, and you have to get that from a chest, guns are pretty much useless to you. So yeah, that was Blades of Time in at number 11. Very, very good, but let down once again by a few little niggling problems. Number 10. McPixel! This game is one of those ones that came out of absolutely nowhere. And it blew my mind how good it is. Once again, another retro pixel style game. But with a sense of humour I have not encountered in games for a long time. I'm not normally one for point and click adventure games. And when this came out, I thought, oh god, it's a point and click. But it's not. It's a case of, you're in a room, you got 30 seconds, there's the problem. How would you deal with it in the stupidest way possible? Which plays right into my wheelhouse, really, because I am pretty stupid. The music is great, and I love what Sauce has done with it. Basically, all the people who love this game, like Jesse Cox, he's got his own level now. The Space Butterfly level, which is for some reason a Space Hobo. So it really does show great support from the developers. The only things that really let this game down is some of the puzzles. It's really, really weird how you have to fix it. And the red herrings are blindingly obvious. Also, the bonus stages, this is where the game is mainly let down. Like, the Nyan Cow. I can't believe I had to say those words. Bonus stage. I have not seen anyone who knows how to solve that puzzle. It is bizarre. Number 9. Tiny and Big, Grandpa's Leftovers. Again, brilliant art style. This hand-drawn kind of rough, dirty feel really does do it for me. And the ability to collect different music as you go along, absolutely phenomenal. They even found a way to make a boring stone something worth collecting. Again, it's another puzzle platformer, but with a bit of a twist. You have all these ridiculous weapons like a cutting laser, a rocket, and a pulling rope. And it makes the puzzles really, really interesting to solve, because there's like a variety of different ways you can solve them. Also, there are these little bonus levels which are kind of hidden. They look like old arcade cabinets, and you go into them and it's like Game Boy style graphics. Everything's kind of green. And some of them are absolutely hilarious. I have one on my channel as a live stream highlight from when I was streaming it, and I loved it. I loved that little minigame. So there's always something to spice it up. The only thing that lets Tiny and Big down, hence the reason why it's so high up on the list, is it's rather short. I would have liked to have seen more, because I really did get into this, and for a game essentially about fetching a pair of underpants, it's done a hell of a lot. Number 8. FTL, Faster Than Light. This game is absolutely fantastic at what it does. It's a roguelike space simulator type thing. And you can rename your crew, you can rename your ship, you can make everything personal, and there are various different races you'll encounter and all this stuff, and it's really, really fun. The only things I found really annoying about this game is, I know it's a roguelike and then traditionally hard, but sometimes the difficulty is, well, it's average. And then sometimes it's like, you're dead. And this is on easy mode. I can't play this on normal. Like, on more than one occasion, on my first jump, I have ended up being attacked by a pirate orbiting a sun. And if anyone's played the game, you know what orbiting a sun does. It just sets everything on fire. And that really did annoy me. I mean, the first jump should not be something that's designed exclusively to burn you to death. I haven't actually got past Sector 3 on this game yet, and I am hoping to do so in the near future. Number 7. Lollipop Chainsaw. This is Suda51 through and through. It is quirky to the point of being just flat out weird. The zombies are hilarious, and the fact that they have names is great. Juliet's voice actor is absolutely phenomenal. If anyone's played the game, you may recognise it if you're a fan of the new My Little Pony. It's the same person who voices Twilight Sparkle and exactly the same voice. So, for me, it's kind of trippy, because I'm hacking up zombies as Twilight Sparkle. That is brilliant. The comedy in this game is dialed up to 11. Everything is pulled off for massive laughs. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but the ending is pretty damn funny. The only thing that I don't really like about it is you're given 3 types of attack. High chainsaw attack, low chainsaw attack, and non-chainsaw attack. And I'm agreeing with Yahtzee Croshaw on this, because when I'm given a chainsaw, my first reaction is not, oh, better limit my use of this. The art style is absolutely fantastic. The theme is great. With the whole, it's essentially the 1950s as seen through the 1980s, but with internet shopping and cell phones. That's great. Number 6, Awesome Noughts. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking Sal is putting a MOBA on his list. Yeah, I thought the same too. However, a 2D MOBA seems to work really, really well. And I like Awesome Noughts. It's got this whole 90s cartoon theme running through it ever since the trailer. I mean, if you haven't seen the trailer, go back and watch it, because it's basically every single cartoon theme song from the 90s compiled into one song. And it's great. The characters are fantastic and hilarious to boot. They've recently added new DLC, which includes the Honeyjuice Scoldius skin. And yes, it's voiced by Simon from the Yogscast, and there's a new character coming out, voiced by Total Biscuit, very, very soon, which I'm hoping to pick up as well, because I can only see that being absolutely hilarious. The loadout system in this game is great too. Instead of it being like a normal MOBA where you go in and there's a shop and you have to choose which items are best, you can choose which items you want to appear in the store before you start the game. And that's great, because it allows you to narrow down your choices and maximise playtime, rather than sitting there going, well, I could get those boots, or that staff might improve my damage. Whereas with this one, it's just a case of Dynamite, Spectre Ball, done. Yeah, I play Lone Star a lot, because he's absolutely great. Number 5. The Darkness 2. My God, was this a good game. Everything sold me on this. Unlike the original Darkness, they decided to go for something along the lines of more semi-cel-shaded comic book style artwork. And that was great, because I'm a big fan of the Darkness comic books, and that played right into me. The additional DLC you got with the pre-order, the Crazy Abdul Darkling, didn't really add much to the game, but by God was he funny. The range of kills in this game is nothing short of endless. You can dual-wield guns and shoot them, but you won't. You can have a single big gun and shoot them, but you won't. Or you can pick up any random object, including corpses of your enemies, and throw them at people's heads. Then slash them to bits with the other Darkness tentacle. Speaking of the tentacles, they have had a massive reworking since the original game. They now look more like Satan's pet snake than they do Licorice Twizzlers, and it's great. They actually look really, really menacing in this game. And there are bits where you have to take over control of your Darkling instead of controlling Jackie. And when you do that, you can look back and see all the Darkness tentacles surrounding Jackie, and it looks evil as hell. The gunplay is good, but like I said, you wouldn't use the guns when you can rip the door off a car and slice someone's head off with it from 50 feet. Number 4. Journey. Again, this is another one of those games that kind of crept up on us. It's a very, very short game, but that isn't really a problem with it, because it gets what it needs to do done in that time. The idea is, you are essentially a tribal nomad type thing made of cloth, and you have to get to the top of a mountain. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the storyline is great. It's one of the best examples of non-narrative storytelling I've ever seen. The multiplayer interaction, which is forced by the PlayStation Network, isn't really that obtuse. It's not like, say, Diablo 3, which forces you to play online and then lags like hell. With Journey, it's more of a case of, if someone else is playing it, we're going to put you in the same world, and then you can say hello to each other, but your only method of communication is non-distinct bleeps and bloops. And everyone gets a different tone, and I've been in a situation where I've had 3 or 4 people with me, and we've been trying to create our own musical composition just out of the tones we can make. The exploration is great. In fact, I'd say this is like the perfect sandbox, and I'm using that term deliberately, because for most of the game you are in a desert. You can explore almost anything. The game does get a little bit annoying later on, when these like gigantic things are trying to kill you, you have no method of defense, and almost no way of predicting where they're going to come from. But it doesn't stop you enjoying the game. It's just a case of, oh, I might have to go through this like box instead of going through the open area, and then you get to see all the insides and all this stuff. It's really atmospheric and really, really good. Number 3. We're into the closing stages now. Are you prepared? Number 3. Hell yeah! Wrath of the Dead Rabbit. Oh my god, did I love this game. I actually managed to finish it in a single sitting. It was that engrossing. Basically, you're a dead rabbit, you kill your father and take over command of hell. However, paparazzi expose your penchant for rubber duckies, and you decide to take revenge on the 100 monsters that have seen it on the internet in the most spectacular way possible. You are given a jetpack. However, the interpretation of jetpack in this game is very, very loose, and it's essentially a saw blade with a rocket mounted to it, with which you are tasked to slice up tons of dudes. The saw blade can also be augmented with guns. You can have missile launchers, rocket launchers, lasers, holy water, flamethrowers, miniguns, revolvers, shotguns, grenades, super grenades. The list goes on and on and on. But what really, really makes me enjoy this game is the humour in it. This game has got comedy nailed. Even the levels where your rocket-powered saw blade is removed and you're forced to go on foot unarmed. Now, for me, normally that would really annoy me. You've taken away my favourite toy. But in this game, it works because the humour is all over the place. There's a bit in the first area where everyone starts taking the mick and saying, oh, you're naked. And of course, they're referring to the pictures, because in the game he's not. He's wearing a cape. I know that doesn't really sell the not naked thing, but to be fair, he's a skeleton. But the humour is great. There's even one part of the game which juxtaposes all the other levels so much. The first bit you think, oh, this is quite quirky, this is quite weird. But after you've been doing it for about 5 minutes, you're just like, how do I get to the end and get out of here? Because the music choice in that is deliberately annoying. All the other is kind of like metal and awesome. But in this one section of the game, which I'm not going to tell you where it is, the music is deliberately so annoying you just want to finish it. And ironically, that music is also the end credit theme. There's also this really cool thing whereby all the monsters you destroy throughout the game, all the named ones anyway, that you have to destroy because they've seen your pictures, they end up on an island, and they become basically your bitch. You can put them to work in the mines, which gets you more money to buy more hats and customizable designs for the saw blade, and more guns and more ammo and all this. Or you can send them off to sea to find exotic items. Normally these take the form of hats. Or there's a science lab or a castle, and you can stick them in there to work for all of their days now that they're destroyed. And that is absolutely fantastic. It's like a game on its own. But you have to keep going back there periodically to get the presents they summon for you. And then you get to use them in the main game, which is great. So yeah, hell yeah, definitely deserves the number 3 spot. Number 2, Tokyo Jungle. Now, you've probably already gathered that Tokyo Jungle is one of those games I cannot stop playing. And for good reasons. The art style is fantastic. They are really well done models of the various different animals. And some of the animals there are just hilarious because it's like, why are they in Tokyo? Like, on more than one occasion, I've been killed by hippos and panthers. Not native to Japan, but very, very funny nonetheless. And when you can be a little yappy Pomeranian taking on a tiger, what more could you ask for? I mean, I've also bought some of the DLC characters for it. Like, there's the panda and the saber-toothed tiger, because they're like prehistoric animals in this, and it's great. But some of them just made me chuckle. There's the ERCX robotic dog, essentially K9. And I'm thinking, how the hell is that going to play out? You can be a Homo erectus, because even though humanity was destroyed, their primitive ancestors continued on. And for some reason, and this is probably the most bizarre of all of them, a businessman. The whole point is the humans are gone. I don't know why they've got a businessman there, but it's going to be hilarious. I also like the way that the game has 2 modes. It's got story mode and survival mode. But in order to get the most out of the game, you have to play survival mode, because the story is given out piecemeal as you go along. And that's really good. I like the fact that it's done that. Because on an ordinary game, I'd just go in, beat the story, and leave it. With this, it's just a case of, right, which stupid animal am I going to be today? How do I get the next bit of story? And that's great. I mean, the game has a few issues. Like, I don't like the fact that even though I've accepted the end-user license agreement 30 times now, I have to keep doing it every time I load the game. And there's one sound effect that annoys me in the entire thing. One sound effect. When you're mating, you hear this wolf's howl, and that kind of works when you're the Pomeranian. Not so much when you're a chicken. And like I said, that's probably the only thing that annoys me about this game. It's fantastic to play through. The co-op, which I haven't had a chance to experience myself because I have no friends, looks to be fantastic. The idea of one can be a grazer, one can be a hunter, and then the hunter can protect the grazer and you can work together. That is really, really clever. And from what I've seen of the story so far, from what I've been able to unlock, the story is really clever. Really well done, really well written. So yeah, Tokyo Jungle, totally deserving of your time and totally deserving of the number 2. Okay, are we ready? We're going to do a quick recap of all the other 11 games before we get down to my number 1, my Game of the Year. Number 12, Fez. Number 11, Blades of Time. Number 10, McPixel. Number 9, Tiny and Big Grandpa's Leftovers. Number 8, FTL, Faster Than Light. Number 7, Lollipop Chainsaw. Number 6, Awesome Noughts. Number 5, The Darkness 2. Number 4, Journey. Number 3, hell yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit. And number 2, only by a very narrow margin, Tokyo Jungle. And here it is. My number 1. My Game of the Year 2012. Pause for effect. Insert drum roll here. As if you didn't see this coming, Dishonored! Dishonored scratched so many of my itches at once. It's a stealth game with multiple paths and supernatural powers, including one to bend time. The words, "shut up and take my money," could not have exited my mouth sooner. And it's fantastic. I love every second of this game. And it's got so much extra stuff. I mean, people say, oh, the campaign's really, really short, but it's not. It's only short if you skip all the extra bits, which require you putting in effort. I'm sure you've seen my series. I read everything. And some of the stuff in there is actually good. Some of the stuff is just flavor text. Some of it is just irrelevant. But when you can be playing as an assassin former bodyguard with like the ability to short range teleport and start singing old sea shanties for a laugh, that's great. The enemy choices are absolutely phenomenal. The tall boys are freakish. I mean, most of the time you're fighting just general guards and stuff, but those tall boys are weird. They're 600 feet tall and have bows and arrows. Also, some of the obstacles you encounter in this game are really well done as well. The whole walls of light thing. Really clever. Multiple ways to get around them. You can either possess a rat and send him through a tunnel. Blink your way around the building to get completely over it. Or just straight up unplug the thing. I mean, that bit where you can just unplug the big deadly thing reminded me a lot of Deus Ex, the original, whereby if you're trying to go for a stealthy no-kill run and there's a boss fight, you can just walk out the room and close the door. The obvious solution. That's what you want. Corvo being a silent protagonist as well really does play into this. The only thing I don't really understand is he wears this ridiculously terrifying mask all the time so he doesn't get captured and put back in prison. But if I was one of these guards and I even so much as glimpsed something that looked like that, I would shoot to kill immediately. Also, you get like a variety of different types of ammunition for your crossbow. The guns I don't use. I don't use them. You get your standard bolt, explosive bolts, which if anyone's seen Time Shift, you know how much that makes me happy. And sleep darts. Perfect for stealth runs. And the ability to find these different bone charms, which gives you little buffs and different like tweaks to your abilities. It really does encourage you to do it. And the heart, which you have to use to find these things. The heart is fantastic. It's biomechanical and talks to you. The city as well that you're set in, Dunwall, is absolutely mind-blowingly designed. I mean, that first bit where you're coming in by boat and you see that giant whale held onto a scaffold while it's being drained for whale oil is great. I loved that because it was just like, whoa. And you know you're in for something good. And then you go in and there's a lift made out of water that just floods the building and raises the boat up. That is really cleverly designed. The character design, however, is, well, I say the character design, the costume choices, shall we say, are a bit strange. Like, that first bit, there's an American guy in an old German helmet. What the hell? But with multiple ways of doing things, a heavy emphasis on stealth, and the ability to bend time or possess rats and send them into a crowd, this game is everything I wanted and so much more. In fact, once I'm done finishing the non-lethal playthrough, I'm going to go straight for the whole Slit Pipes McGee method and just see how bad it can go. Because the game has a chaos system. It's not really a moral choice aspect as it would be. Instead, every action has consequences. If you kill a bunch of dudes, your chaos rating goes sky high, increasing the damage of the rat plague. Whereas if you're really stealthy, take someone out, hide them in a box, and no one ever finds them again, your chaos rating is really low. So the rat plague stays pretty much as is. And the whole reason for getting revenge is really well done, because it's not a case of, there's a guy, you hate him, kill him. You actually watched the Empress get killed. And then summarily got blamed for it. So you genuinely get a feel for the, I want to take revenge on this asshole. So yeah, Dishonored, my game of the year. I know it's a bit predictable for me, but I loved every second of it. I'm going to continue to love every second of it. And I really hope this becomes a franchise. So thanks for watching my top 12 games of 2012. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And yes, I'll be abandoning this premise next year. I'll be doing top 10s from now on because these numbers are getting unmanageable. So, until I see you again, I've been Salis. These have been great games of the year. And I will see you next time.